How's it going, everybody? CityZilla here, and we are going to start a new city. I wanted to go over the map real quick. I ended up choosing a tropical map because we haven't done one yet. I've only done a couple maps on this series, but tropical maps seem to be pretty popular. And I did end up choosing one of the vanilla maps. This is Lagoon Shore, and so if you're new to the game or you don't have any expansions, this is one of the maps that comes with it. And I really like this map. I initially was trying to choose one that was either in the Steam shop or part of one of the expansions, but I really liked this center freshwater kind of lake thing that it has right here. I wanted to do some canals for this and then to create some ferry lines and kind of build our city around it. And so I think what we'll end up doing is creating a downtown around this little lake and then creating canals that go in different directions so that we can do ferries and kind of build our city dependent on the ferry system. And I think it's just going to create a really cool look. You don't see a lot of cities that have ferries to that extent or canals to that extent, and so I thought it would be cool to incorporate something like that. And then I wanted to draw on two major metropolitan areas in the United States, Philadelphia and Washington, D.C., just for their road layouts. Philadelphia has a center city hall kind of square about where two major streets, Market Street and Broad Street, kind of intersect. And I think it's just really cool. It's a good example of an early established city in the United States. It was first established in the 1600s, and so it's definitely one of the older ones for the United States standards. I know for the world that's still pretty young, but I think it's a really cool layout. Most of the city is just basic grids, but then it has that one, a really big square about in the middle with the city hall. And then it has one diagonal road that has a really big park and then the Jefferson Memorial, and it just looks really cool. It's almost like a national mall. And then it has a really big historical sector where, like, one of the original presidential houses was there. And then for DC, I wanted to draw on some inspiration because it's intersected with a ton of diagonal roads that have these roundabouts in them that have national monuments, and the whole city's kind of designed around the National Mall. And I thought it would just be really cool to lay out a city in a symmetrical kind of way, and so we'll address it as we build out the city. But I think what we're going to do first is start off with this little road. And so if you're new to City Skylines, you have to do one little kind of erroneous road at first just so you can unlock the rest of the roads. You can just go ahead and start building it out, but I wanted to unlock this 2-lane one-way. And so we are going to come up here, and we're not going to go too far. What I'm going to do is build a little square about, actually kind of a bigger one, but I do want it to be in a location to where the roads coming off of it can either intersect here or even go under here without having to go over that river just yet. And so we're going to start off like that, and then we can turn this around. And then I'm going to jump over to the dirt roads. Early on in the game, it saves a lot of money if you can do the dirt roads. And so I'm going to go ahead and build this out just so I can get to the middle. And then I'm going to do 2 over. And then I'm just going to do a square that's 4x4. It's kind of a little big, but I want it to be a centerpiece for the city. I want it to be something that this section of the city is kind of built around. And so this is kind of what I was talking about with Philadelphia. Philadelphia has this, it's not this big in terms of real life size. It's probably more like a 2x2, but it's just one giant building in the middle. And it's really cool. Like this time of year, they do the ice rink and everything there, and it's just a really cool feature to have. I like having cities that are designed around certain locations like that. I think it just looks really nice. And so we're going to end up going like that, and then we are just going to go one out, and then what I want to do is build kind of like a parkway. So we'll come up here. And so what I'm thinking is a parkway, but a little more space than the parkways we've done in the past. A lot of times the issues with parkways is this little middle road. You end up getting a lot of traffic with people trying to cross over, and so if you make it a little wider, it allows you to prevent that backup just a little bit. You still do end up having some of those issues, but then one of the cool things that I'd seen in Boston was they would have huge parkways like this with tunnels in the middle, to where if somebody was coming down this road and say maybe they were traveling way over here, they could just bypass the intersections or the lights or the stop signs, whatever it was, by going into the tunnel. And so I thought it was a really cool feature, and it's something that we are going to incorporate. And so I did want to come out with a purpose, and so I think what we're going to do is go 3 out, and I don't want to intersect this road. This is going to end up being a diagonal. Yeah, so I think that's pretty good. We'll probably come back there and delete that. And here we go. And then what I want to do is just create a little road in the middle. We are going to end up turning this into a little commercial center. And then I'm going to do 2 small squares. And I'm going to kind of follow a pattern with those as we build out the first couple neighborhoods. The reason I'm doing those is because those will be for elementary schools or parks. We're not going to zone those in. And then what we're going to do is we're going to keep this middle section a little bit bigger just because it gives us some options to either go sideways or go this way, or maybe we want to put a library or a big park in the middle. And so I think it provides us some good options. And then for over here, what we're going to do is just do a basic industrial area. This right here is farmland, and then this is all ore. And that was partly the reason why I decided to put our industry over here, because you want to get industry as soon as possible. And so I think it's a good bet for us. And so we're going to come out 3 again. 3, 4. So I think we'll end up doing a farming industry pretty early because we want to get the money rolling in. One of the hardest parts was starting a new city is just not. So I did want to do 2 perpendicular roads with this. I'm thinking it's probably right there. I want them to be the same though, so we might end up shifting that over. You know what? I think that looks okay. I think we're going to widen this just a little bit more. So maybe we'll do 4. Maybe we'll do 6. Maybe 1 more. Yeah, there you go. And then we're going to use that middle section for utilities like our power or our water. And then we're just going to go ahead and place these guys down. Alright, and so we need to make just a little more money, and so we are just going to delete these roads that we don't really need at the moment. I'd lay down the initial grid because I wanted to make sure that we didn't intersect any of these neighborhoods as we built them out, but I think this is going to be okay. And then we are going to end up turning these outside roads into higher volume roads, so probably the small 4-lane road or possibly even the bigger 4-lane road. If you guys are familiar with my last series, I ended up doing 5x5 grids, and for this one I wanted to do the smaller. That's how we landed on the 4x4, just because it being an even number, it makes it a little easier for expanding, and with it being a little bit smaller, it kind of makes it so that we have a little more space as we expand. And so I think all that we have left to do is fill these guys in. And then I am going to do the front of this as commercial. Yeah, we'll just go like that. And then we're just going to fill these guys in. Once we delete that power line, we'll be able to fill the rest in. And then for these, what we're going to do is just fill in these, and we're going to leave the squares empty. And then I think we can unpause it. Let's see our first simoleons. First sims coming in. And the power line should connect pretty quick. Once we get our first commercial right there, it'll connect. So what I'm thinking is we will end up mirroring this neighborhood on the opposite side. And then we'll probably end up creating a nice little space for our commercial areas. I'm thinking probably on the sides. And then we'll have to figure out something to do for these inside squares. I want it to make sense and be symmetrical, and so we'll have to just kind of play by ear. And then I think this is going to end up being our first square, the one down below. Just because we want to get access to the freeway and then also the resources right here. Whenever you're starting a new city, one of your best bets is to kind of grow along the freeway. And this is how, I mean, cities nowadays would end up expanding as well, just because early on the only mass transit kind of source you have is the freeway, or long distance travel source, and so we would want to get at least one more freeway exit in until we get to this rail line, or we start laying down metro or even tram, just because this is our main bottleneck right now. And I do play with despawning off in Traffic Manager, just because it really stress tests your connections. It kind of shows you where some of your weak spots are. In the base game, the game deletes cars as it becomes a little too congested, and so I prefer to just play with that off. Nice. So we got our first unlock, 460. We got our 20,000. And so the first couple things we need to do, we need to bump up our taxes, bump them up to 12. And there you go. And then I'm just going to come in here and take out this loan. It's kind of funny. If you end up doing poorly and getting the $50,000 bailout, a lot of times you end up in a much better position with money-wise anyways early on. And so we're just going to mirror that same thing. We need to expand our residential. So we're just going to go by 4x4. Come out here. And then we're going to do the same thing with that little neighborhood. And there we go. And with our first unlocks, we did get our trash service. And so I do want to... And we're going to turn this into a 4-lane road. Alright, and so I do want to create a little bit of a space for our trash service, but I also want to... Maybe we'll go like right there, and maybe we'll come up here and then have this curve in. I think this is going to look good. Go like that. I think that may be too far. No, you know what? I think that looks pretty good, and it satisfies our purpose. I don't really like having that intersection too close, but I think by having multiple access points, we're actually going to prevent ourselves from getting too much traffic in here. So maybe we'll put this like right there, and then we'll put the recycle center right next to it. And there you go. I normally do the recycle centers with the first landfill just because it helps to prevent this guy not fill up as quickly, especially early on in the city. These tend to fill up pretty fast, and so having the recycle center is kind of like a little bit of a buffer. And there you go. And then this kind of starts our first little pattern build. I think we are going to reserve this intersection or these intersections for commercial. I think we'll end up having commercial go all the way around, and then we are going to turn this into something special, maybe a park. Maybe we'll even turn it into a transit hub or put some unique buildings in there or something. If you guys have any ideas, go ahead and let me know in the comments below. Some of the best builds I've had were from comments that I'd gotten from people. It looks like we are missing just a little bit of power over here. I think that will connect it. Yeah, there you go. And then we do need to put down our first medical clinic. And I would like it to be centralized. So I think right there would be good. Oh, we got another one. So we got another square district, some emergency services, which are important. And so we are going to try and place these guys down on this little main road. Just because we're probably going to end up putting some of these in every little... so we'll probably mirror this guy up here, and we'll probably do some more services, and then we'll end up having to do some services for over here as well. Because we are going to turn these into one-ways, and so we'll have to rethink these, and then we still need to upgrade the roads, and then we're going to build out that whole diagonal street. Oh, no, another thing that we forgot. Another sick person. I think maybe it was just because we didn't have the healthcare available. And so we'll come in here, go like that. And these should continue with the expansion. And so I do want to go back and complete this road. And I would like this to be kind of flat. In here, and we're going to turn this into a 4-lane. And the reason we're doing this is because these are going to be our main arterials. And so we're going to really watch out the connections we have. And so even like these two, we're going to end up turning into 4-lane roads as we expand. And basically any connection that we make to this road is going to end up being a 4-lane road. And so I think for this guy, what we're going to do is come up here. And I would prefer that to be on the ground. And then we're going to do that little diagonal piece as well, just because I think it looks really good. And then it helps to separate the intersections, and that's really what I'm trying to do here, rather than just connecting it up right there. I want these intersections to be a little distanced, and it does kind of create this T-turn right here, but I think this is good. Having it set up like this though does encourage people to use this middle lane, which is definitely not something that we want to do, but we can't necessarily make a connection right there. And so I think that's probably the best thing that we can do for right now. And then let's go ahead and fill in this other side as well, just so that we don't lose sight of the diagonal pieces. And there we go. And then we're going to do the same thing with this, upgrade this to a 4-lane avenue. And then because we don't have the square, we're not going to worry too much about that just yet. But I am going to connect this guy up. Yeah, that looks okay. Kind of wish it was a little less pronounced, like these ones, but I think that's okay. I actually think it might even look a little better, but we'll wait and see. And so for these sides, what I wanted to do was create a similar pattern to this, where we would continue the grid, but we want to do it with purpose. And so we would end up saving some space for some commercial zoning, as well as probably some service centers. If you guys are familiar with my last series, I like to group up certain services together. It just really kind of makes almost a small shopping center where you would have certain services, like even cemeteries or stuff like that, or shopping. This is where you would put your community centers or your yoga gardens, or even like your saunas. And then what it does is it creates like a little hub for land value in the area as well. And so it really helps to promote good land value. And so we're probably going to come up here. I mean, we could go right there. I don't know how I feel about having that intersection that close, though. I don't think that that's smart. Maybe we'll come up here and then turn this skin. Hey, you know what? I think that's smart, because then those aren't too close. But remember, we still do need to turn that into a 4-lane, and so these could end up being a little too close together. But we'll see. We're just going to have to come back through and change these to 4 lanes. And so we'll create a little bit of access, so maybe people don't have to surf directly in the middle there. But we are going to end up doing something with this freeway to where it's not going to be here. I have something in store that I think is going to be really cool. So let's come up here. And what this does is it just gives a little more room for zoning. So I do want to be mindful of the traffic in this area and what the zoning is going to do in terms of traffic. So I think we're going to leave that empty. And then I think we're going to turn these into commercial centers. And then I think we will end up putting this little road as commercial as well. I think that would be smart. Yeah, I think that would make sense because it's a main road. Alright, we got our next unlock. So we got parks and plazas, which is super important. And a bunch of policies, landscaping, which we definitely need. I think it's kind of dumb that you don't get landscaping for a little while. That would be something pretty integral for an early city. But just how they design the game. So I think we'll do that. Just put some small commercial. Nothing too crazy, but enough for these people to walk to. And then when we get rid of these power lines, we'll end up doing something else with this as well. And I do want to come in here and get rid of that. I don't want that zoning right there. I even think this right there is going to be bad because I want to put a path here. And I don't want zoning to be right on this road. So I think right here, and we'll come in here. Nope. And it did the same thing over here. And then we'll just do some small commercial zoning again. Nothing too crazy, just to add in a little bit of shops. Just a little bit of access for these people. They already have shopping on the inside, but it would be nice to have just a little bit of shopping right here. And I think we'll even go like this, because then we still have access for a path, but then the shopping is still continued over here for these people. I think that would be good. And we could even do shops right there, but I think by putting in some landscaping right here, it'll look really nice. And so that is our first basic neighborhood. And so let's look at some of the things that we need to place down. We don't have any schools, and so I do want to be mindful. We'll probably end up copying this over here. So I think what I'm going to do for this elementary is put it on this side. I'll put it on the main road. And I think we're going to do one over here as well. So we're going to end up doing another 4x4 on this side, and so these elementaries will, in theory, be able to cover the whole neighborhood. Now, the high school, I do want to be more in a centralized location. We could even put it in the middle, but I think it would end up disrupting a lot of what we have going on. And so I think maybe by putting it right here, it's not super centralized for the area, but I think it would work out for what we're trying to do. Because we could even put it like right there and then do a park across the street. Yeah, you know what? I think right there is good, and then we'll do a small park over here. I think the bigger park may even fit. Let's see. I think with Anarchy I can get this to work. Yeah, you know what? I mean, that right there looks good. Yeah. It's not over the edge too much. It is a little bit on that one side, you can see, but it's not enough to disrupt it. It's just a little bit of a gravel path. But it creates a nice area across the street from our school, and so I do want to just put down a couple trees for this guy. And because we're tropical, we could do palm trees. Just don't know how palm trees are going to look right here. You know what? Because we're in a tropical setting, I think the palm trees look good. I think we'll end up leaving that side empty, just because there is a little bit of residential and we wouldn't want to evict too many people. We already kicked out a couple people, and this is like a little house like right next to the high school. I mean, that's kind of funny. You could even see this as being maybe like a groundskeeper, but it is just a small home. It's a 1x4 slot. It's got a little doghouse, little satellite dish. I think there's the same one on this side. Yeah, this one's got a little lawn chair with the umbrella. So you can come outside and sit. And here's a little duplex strawberry residence. So we got some basic services down. I do want to put down another park. I think, you know what? I think if we mirror that same guy over here, because I like how it barely fit in there. I thought that was cool. So I think, yeah, you know what? I think that looks great. It fits in that slot perfectly. And then we got the two elementaries in the back. We have all of our services. I think we just need to, pretty sure we had unlocked the cemetery. Where is the cemetery? I guess you don't get it till 2400. For some reason I thought the cemetery was one of the earlier things, but I guess not. But we did unlock industry, and so I think what we'll do is go ahead and buy this square. Because it unlocks this industry area, but then it also unlocks our ability to create another freeway entrance, which I think will end up being this diagonal road. One of the easiest ways to prevent traffic is to just plan your freeway entrances. And so even early on, I normally try to pick out a couple key areas. So we'll probably do one over here, and we'll probably do one over here. Because then it just kind of, it splits the traffic up instead of everybody taking this one route. It ends up being a really smart option for people. And so let's come in here, I think now. So let's look at what we got. So this whole area, and did we unlock? Yes, we did. And so I do want it to fill up pretty much this whole area. So maybe we'll come up here. And I do want to kind of follow the same pattern. We'll connect it. Because if somebody starts taking it for the industrial way, it might end up helping our traffic a little bit. So I'm just going to set these up as priority roads real quick. Just hold shift down with the priority sign button clicked for traffic manager. And then for this guy, what I want to do there you go. Nothing too crazy, but enough to provide access. And then I do normally do roundabout in the middle. You know what? I think we're gonna get rid of this. It's not gonna fit with traffic. One of the biggest concerns with these areas is traffic, and so I want to make sure that we're mindful of that. And so I think what we're gonna do is go back to my initial idea. Come up here. And then we'll go in. And then we'll put a roundabout in the middle. And the reason I'm doing this is because it creates a nice space to call basically your main hub for this area. And so just makes it so that all your traffic takes one high volume road. And so we'll end up coming down here, and then I think we will... It's so funny, I'm just so used to doing the same kind of pattern, but we'll do a bridge, and then we'll come down. And there you go. Might be a little too steep on this side. Yeah, there you go. And then what that does is it makes it so that people on this side can get to that side without having to go through the roundabout, which is super important. And I'm going to turn off road guidelines. And then we are going to, like that, and we'll probably... Yeah, you know what? I think that looks pretty good. It wasn't really exactly what I was planning on, but I think it serves our purpose. It's kind of a funky grid, but I think we can connect some of these up. I don't want this one to be connected up, though it might be smart for us to have some access. We're kind of funneling everybody in over here right now, which is good. You know, we'll keep it like that for right now. And then we can always come back and change it or expand depending on the needs of the area. And I think for this, we're just going to start it off kind of small. We just need to start making a little bit of money. And so I painted it a regular district, and then I'm going to come in and paint it a industry area. And then we'll come into our farming. And this whole area, there's so much yellow. And so we'll go ahead and put this guy right on the main road. I don't believe that the main building gets a lot of traffic, but let me know if I'm wrong, and we'll go ahead and move that. And so we'll come in here and we'll place down as many as we can. I don't think we have a ton of money. Maybe we'll just do that for right now. And then I'm going to go ahead and put the grain silo on the right past them so that they can, in theory, pick up the grain and then put it in the silo just down the street from it. And then let's see if we can place down just one. Let's see if we can take another long. Yeah, there you go. Because we just want to at least put down one animal pasture. And so I think for the animal pastures, we do want kind of out of the way. Yeah, I think we'll go like right there. Oh, we can even put another one. And another one. There you go. And then we just need to put down some water. And of course we need to wait for some money. Once these start going though, our whole money issue should be solved. Especially with the dirt roads, our overhead cost right now is not super high. And so Does look like we are going to need to place down another water tower though, and another treatment plant. And there we go. We'll come back and delete those, but for right now it's just necessary. And voila. And so we should start making at least a little bit of money. I don't expect us to start making tons of money at first, and as you can see, we are importing quite a bit. But that's just because I think it takes a minute for these to kind of set up. I believe these start pretty much just importing until this guy's set up. And so we want to, operating normally. We'll keep it on balance for right now. We are going to end up filling this whole side with these. I think I'm going to choose greenhouses. I think it gives it like a pretty cool industrial look. Especially it being right off the freeway, we would want to protect it from emissions though, and in real life it's not a huge concern. I don't think it being next to the road is going to cause a ton of problems, but you never know. And so I think we do need to put down some more electric and then some more water. So you can already see we're already starting to make some pretty good money. We're at about 3,000 a week, which is great, because we do need to put down another power plant, and then we need to put down a water treatment facility and another water tower. Especially with the farming, I believe that those suck up quite a bit of water. All right, and so now we got enough money to place another power plant. I think maybe we'll put it like right there, because it is a little more even on that side. Though it does mess up. It'd be nice if it was on this side for that one too. I was hoping to have them in the middle, but it's not the end of the world. We do need to place another one of these guys though. Go inland water treatment plant. I think we will put it right there. Yep. Yeah, there you go. And then let's go ahead and do another water tower. And voila. So we should, yep, enough water. Alright, and so what we're going to do now is build some more residential. And so what I'm thinking, we will just come up here, turn back on road guidelines, and then build this guy out. We don't need to go too far. Just, you know what, we could do another avenue on this side. I think that would actually be kind of cool. So I think we will end up doing that, and we will go like this, and then go up. And take this guy out. And do the same thing. And then for the last one, I had done 3 out from the square. So I think if we do the same thing over here, it's going to be good. Oh, nice. Next unlock, which gives us the flour mill and then the bakery, which I believe is our first unique factory. And so we'll definitely need to incorporate that because the unique goods end up making a lot of money. And then the farm workers barracks, that increases your effectiveness. And then the small barn, which is definitely better than the grain silo. So once we get this neighborhood up and running, we will go back and focus on that. And there you go. And then now we can just zone it in. Bam, 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 bam. And then come down here, and then we'll end up mirroring it as well. We just need it to build out. We need more residents. So we don't have enough people at the moment. That's why we're kind of struggling. We keep going up to making $1,000 to $2,000 to making like $0 to $100, and a lot of it is just the loans. Like we're paying. This one's 403. This one's 253, and so we'll definitely want to pay those off. Having that 400 a week kind of hurts us a little bit, though having that money early on does help. And so I think we will go ahead and just mirror this guy real quick. And there you go. I like this little basic grid pattern. I think it's super effective, especially as we start upgrading the roads. It's going to really help with getting people around, and so I think it's going to be good. And then we can come in here. And there we go. We do have a slight increase in the need for industry. And so we got the next one, Boomtown. We're moving pretty fast. Got another square. We got transport. I don't think we're going to focus on transport just yet. Though I have a couple pretty cool ideas I think we are going to play around with, but we shall see what we end up deciding on. And so I think we'll go ahead and put those in. And then we can fill this guy too, though I'm tempted to not. I don't want to put too much industry over here. I think we will focus on building this out. And I do want to make sure that we didn't unlock. Did we get? Yeah, we got the cemetery, so let's go ahead and put the cemetery down before we start having some issues with this. And then I think we will put it on this side. I think this is a good location for it. And then I do want to put the child care and the elder care somewhere. And I want it to be somewhere centrally located because it's such a big area. So maybe we will, you know what, I think on this main road would just be great. Let's see how much these buildings cost though. So 20,000, 22,000. So let's go ahead and work on this guy so we can start making some more money, and then we'll come back to the child care. And then let's put one of those barns. And voila. And so this should ramp up our production quite a bit. I do want to put down some of the flour mills though. Okay. Where was it? I think, oh, you know what? It's going to be at the end. So flour mill and then cattle shed. I think the cattle shed is, yeah, it's a little bit better than the small animal pasture, and I think they're even, yeah, they're even smaller in space, though they do have a little bit more pollution. But they have more workplaces. So 15,000 per flour mill, but we should start making quite a bit more money with this. 480, I mean, not a lot, but it's not bad. And then as this builds out, we should start making some good tax revenue. Okay, and so let's go ahead and start upgrading some roads. We don't want to go too crazy just yet, just because road management does end up costing a ton of money. And so I think what we're going to do is just upgrade this guy. Yeah, there we go. And so that's what I was hoping for with those little crossover roads. But now, pretty much everybody will go in and either take one of these two options. But they also have this option to the left if they decide not to take this little main road. And that's really what we're trying to do here. We're trying to provide route options. And so we can come up here and do the same thing with this guy. And then we do want to put in a couple crossovers. We'll go like that. And then now that is set up, and we can even start building out this little guy. Oh, perfect. And that actually sets us up for a nice rotation around this. I think that's going to end up being great. And then I think what we'll do too is start our little canal network, and we can actually have it start off from right here. So we'll delete this guy, and we could have the canal run across this and then run down there. And because it is such a elevation difference from these two, I don't know if we'll have any like ferry stations on that canal. But I think we'll have one up here and then probably one down there. But I do want to make some canals that are leveler, where we could even do like a beach or something to where people could go and spend some time. But I just don't think that our first canal is going to be that. I kind of played around with it a little bit, and it's just not, it's such a big elevation drop that it just doesn't work that well. don't know if we'll end up filling those in. I think we'll play around with that as we expand more. And so we do have some more another room here. And there we go. And then we can do another grain silo in here. Alright, and so that way we can expand our offerings a little bit. We could come in here and zone this in as farming specialization. I just know that that ends up increasing the traffic even more, but I think maybe we will do it for some smaller sections maybe. Let's go ahead and, because we do have a need for industrial at the moment, so maybe we'll just do a couple smaller areas. I don't want to waste space. Let's wait and see. I like how this is turning out. We got a nice little network forming. We got pretty good population, especially early on, and we already are starting to make some pretty good money. And so I think we definitely got a good foothold. I do want to work on that canal real quick though, because it's going to be a pretty big defining characteristic of this area. And I don't want to lay down any more infrastructure. You know what? I think that looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and see though. It has a nice slope. Let's go ahead and unpause it and see what kind of havoc we wreak. But I think this is exactly what I was hoping for. Having the little bend is kind of weird, but I think it actually works with what we're trying to do here. And I think it's nice that it butts up right against this road. And then we'll end up probably doing a key wall. I don't think we're going to get too much flooding out of this area since it is such a big drop, but we could do the flood wall as well. But I think what's going to happen, because this is so much lower, it's going to be pretty far down. And so I think for this side we'll end up keeping it, but then for this side we'll probably level it out to be a little more on par with the water level. Let's go ahead and let that run for a second. It's going to take a little while for it to balance out. It actually looks like it's running pretty good now, but you can see the waves that are happening. It takes a second for the game to realize the changes that have been made. And so I think for this area we would want this to be a residential area. We don't really need, I don't want to build just a mega industrial area. I don't think that that's smart. So I think what we'll do is, so we'll come up here, and there we go. And so we got a pretty nice little pattern showing up with our commercial. And then I like how this ended up over here. Let's see about connecting this bridge across to see what kind of... Yeah, there we go. And we even got a nice little bridge out of it. It is pretty high on that water, but I think that looks good. And then we will end up turning these into bridges as well. Yeah, there you go. And then I think we'll end up mirroring this neighborhood on this side, because I think it would end up looking really cool if we could get it to kind of look the same shape. Let's look at this first and see if we need to change the height on this, because I think maybe this canyon would be a little too big. So I was hoping the water level was going to be a little higher, but I think maybe if we just drop that other side down, it would be better. So I think having this cliff to the water would be really intense. maybe I'll leave that, and then you guys can let me know if we should level this down. Just drop down the height on this, and then we'll just keep this side a cliff, but then at least the other side it would be a little more on par. Because I think maybe this would probably be dangerous. But we'll see. And voila. Man, we're pumping money now. We're up to 100,000. We're doing great, and this just shows how putting down this industry early on is just so important. And so I think we will end up putting down some of our workers' barracks. I do want to put them in a location that where maybe, yeah, look at this. We don't have a ton of space. I think that's perfect. Because we were going to be able to pretty much do nothing over there. I think maybe we can even put some on this side too. Yeah, you know, maybe we'll leave that there, and we'll probably end up doing some more on this side, but those things are 10,000 a pop, and so I think we'll wait. I do want to put down some more farming though. Let's maybe put down this guy. Now that we got the flour mills down, we should start making some real money, and then we just need to put down some warehouses. Oh, nice! Look at that lemonade factory, milking parlor, medium crop fields, which we have just been messing with the small ones now, and so we'll probably end up coming in and deleting some of these ones for the bigger ones. Though I don't know if they'll fit right here, but I think we will end up expanding this area just a little bit so that we can fit some more items. Man, you see this? We're going to need to come through and upgrade our roads. I can already see the writings on the wall. This is going to end up being crazy. I like how this is turning out, though. Yeah, I think this starting grid is really good. And so now we have enough money to do the flour mill. Just one more. And then let's see about putting in some warehouses. So I think the small warehouse... You know, it'd be smart to have these near the front. Maybe we could even put these over here. Maybe we'll put them on the main road. Yeah, you know what? I just hate them blocking the road. Maybe we'll come in here. Yeah, there you go. And then that way we can... Can we fit two on this side? I don't think so. I hate to waste space. Guess we could put them on this side. No, we'll put them in over here. Yeah. Let's see how that does. I think we'll end up moving these. I don't like how these look. This kind of messes up our whole vibe that we got going. I just didn't want to... Thought I'd set these up. Yeah, there you go. It was just bad priorities. You can already see, I mean, these people are... Why are they over here? This is just bad. But we'll leave that. We are going to work on freeways at some point. We do need to do services over here, though. Maybe we'll come in here. I think we will just put services like right here. Yeah, you know what? I think that's good. I think we'll end up putting in some path networks. And so we are, man, we're definitely making some great money. But we didn't set these up. So we need to do flour and then animal products. And I do want these to be empty. We don't currently have any factories, and so there's no reason for them to store them. Flowers or products, greenhouses, yep. And so now, oh man, We got a lot of crops. We need to put some more extractor buildings. So now at least we should be able to create a little more space for those crops, because it looks like our poor barns are just getting filled. We could just put down a bigger barn. Did we get the big one yet? No, the large barn. We get it at level 4. I think it would be smart for us to do that. But I think that's it for this episode. Oh, you know what? Power. Look at that. We're at it again. 19,000. We'll be there in just a second. We'll do is put the power plant right here, since we had already kind of we'd already designated this for services. I think it would be smart for us to put the power plant right there. And there we go. We got enough money. So we'll... Yeah, you know what? I think that's good. We just want to make sure that the pollution doesn't start reaching over into our crops. Oh, no, it looks good. These do pollute, though. It's kind of crazy, the flour mill. You would think that they would have some setup for not polluting, but... So I think that's it for this episode. On the next episode, we are going to do path networks. We have not touched paths at all, and I have designed this whole layout for us to do paths, and it is going to involve us demolishing some poor homes, as we're just kind of focusing on expanding. But every single one of these incomplete streets we're going to turn into a path network, and then we are going to start messing around with this side, and then we're going to start laying down the foundation for the downtown district, as well as some transit. And then we do have that huge ore deposit, and then some really exciting stuff. We're going to do the park or transit hub in the middle. Go ahead and let me know in the comments what you guys think of this. And then we still do need to go through and upgrade our roads, especially since our traffic is starting to get up there. We do need to designate our arterial roads. So we're going to come through here and just make these all 4 lanes on the outside. I think we may leave the roads on the inside as dirt roads, just because they're low cost and low traffic, and so it really wouldn't be a huge concern. And so maybe as the city expands later on, we would upgrade them, but for right now I think it's good. But let me know what you guys think of the new episode or the new series, and thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.